If you could give your deaf or hard of hearing student one tool, one skill, or one gift that would completely change the course of their lives, break down barriers that their hearing loss can cause, and blaze paths for them for success in their life, would you want to give it to them? What if I tell you that there is one tool that will serve them in any environment with any group of people at any time, and it's something that we can absolutely give them at a very early age, and it will serve them literally for the rest of their lives? That tool is called the elevator pitch. It hooks people, it attracts people, and it commands respect and buy-in. An elevator pitch can remove hurdles and break down barriers, but there's one caveat that will stop your student from implementing this amazing tool. Keep watching to learn what it takes for a student to access this and what can stop a student in their tracks. So what is an elevator pitch? Well, it's short and it's sweet, and it only takes the amount of time that it takes to ride from one floor to another with the person in the same elevator as you. Hence the name, the elevator pitch. When we can empower our students with this phrase, then they can introduce themselves to any teacher, any peer, any coach, and it will communicate what their needs are in a confident way that will connect that person with them and help meet their needs. If there's one thing that we can provide for our students or our children, for you parents out there, it's a confident elevator pitch. My favorite elevator pitch might be one that you're familiar with. It's from the famous movie, The Princess Bride, which happens to be one of my favorites. It is used by one of the main characters, Inigo Montoya. In fact, it is an elevator pitch that he practices throughout the entire movie. And he continues to perfect until the day that he's been waiting for, when he can finally deliver his mastered elevator pitch. And it goes something like this. Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. You can watch this scene in The Princess Bride by clicking on the link in the description area. This is a perfect example of what an elevator pitch does. It introduces who you are. It says why the person that you're talking to needs to know, and it gives them a direction, something that they can do or prepare to do that will help them and help you in the situation. In this movie, the scene builds as Inigo Montoya repeats his elevator pitch again and again. It empowers him and it makes him stronger, and it builds his confidence every single time that he repeats it. And that is the power of an elevator pitch. The more you say your elevator pitch, the more power it brings to you, the more comfort you have, and the more it delivers your message. But here's the rub. Our students will never employ the perfected elevator pitch unless they are comfortable using it. And they won't be comfortable using it until they have embraced this part of who they are, until they have a strong self-identity that this aspect of them is not a weakness. The use of this language, the ability even to identify it, to name it, it won't happen because we are asking our children to call out maybe the one thing that they don't want anybody to know about. It's kind of like them announcing that they have a third arm underneath their shirt. To them, this is the last thing that they want people to know. So our role is to build that confidence, to build that comfort, to build that self-identity, that they are in fact an amazing human being, And in fact, what they may perceive as a weakness is actually their strength. It can be a thing that people admire about them and causes them to want to learn more, or maybe even change their own futures. Many adults today are teachers, interpreters, or world changers because they knew somebody who had a hearing loss and it impacted them in a positive, life-changing way. So in this way, we need to empower our students in a way that strengthens them and makes them shine in the midst of it. That is one reason that the online itinerant has a giant curriculum specifically for building self-identity and self-awareness of who a child is with hearing loss. They will meet people like Derrick Coleman, professional football player, who uses his elevator pitch every time he meets somebody. He says, "Hi, my name is Derrick Coleman. I have a hearing loss. I need to be able to read your lips to be able to communicate with you." Or maybe it's Tina Childress, the famous deaf audiologist. Everywhere she goes, she communicates with people that she has got a hearing loss. And in order for them to communicate with her, they need to face her, use captioning, use sign language, get her attention, whatever the case may be. In order for a child to be able to build their self-identity and feel comfortable with who they are as a child with hearing loss, who's going to grow into an adult with hearing loss, in order for them to be able to build that confidence and be in their own skin, kids need role models. They need to see people who are not ashamed of their hearing loss, but who embrace it and who accept it and who make it part of who they are. Parents, if there's one tip that I can give you, let me tell you to embrace your child's hearing loss. Value it as part of who they are. So if that is as simple as making sure that they are wearing their hearing aids during their school pictures, or maybe having a neat color of hearing technology, or signing in front of other people to show off that skill, incorporate that into your family values. Check batteries, bring batteries, make sure you've got the mic when you need it, your mini mic or whatever technology you might have. But make that part of your family system and value it so that your child recognizes that it's important and it's part of who they are. Not something to hide away or only use when it's convenient or only in the safety and comfort of your own home. No, make it part of who they are. And let's help them meet people that they can admire and look up to. My favorite pro tip is to send deaf or hard of hearing children to deaf camp, where they can meet lots of other kids that are just like them, that communicate the way that they communicate or communicate differently, because they may choose to use sign language or they may not. They need to recognize that there are different kinds of technology, such as cochlear implants or hearing aids or Baha hearing aids or in-the-ear hearing aids, all different kinds of technology, but also captioning and sign language and different types of sign language. It's wonderful to be able to expose kids to a variety of communication styles and technology. So I always say, send your child to camp or do different deaf events or the deaf school, whatever you can do that can show kids that they're not the only ones, that in fact there's some kind of normalcy within living with hearing loss, that there are literally millions of people who break down these barriers every day. And when they see that, they can realize that they can do it too. They have somebody to look up to, somebody to model after, and even somebody who can mentor them. And of course, you parents need somebody to mentor you too. Somebody, a mentor that you can look up to that can help model how this life lives. Now, I know it's not always possible to meet a real life person who can mentor you or mentor a child. That's why the online itinerant created an entire curriculum with over 30 deaf and hard of hearing role models, all of different backgrounds and different communication styles and different attributes. For example, CC Bell.
Newbery Award winner who writes books about her experience growing up as a child with hearing loss. Or Habben Girma, the Harvard graduate who is deaf and blind, who has actually worked in the White House using her own barriers to break down barriers for other people who struggle with hearing loss and vision loss. Or maybe it's Mandy Harvey, who gradually lost her hearing, who used this experience to write profound music. She performed on America's Got Talent and moved the judges so much that she got an immediate golden buzzer. And she continues to inspire and impact people today. Maybe it's Ashley Fiolic, the deaf motocross champion who uses her hearing loss as a competitive edge to block out distractions that other people have to fight against. Or there's the famous Marley Matlin or Niall DeMarco, who have used the red carpet as their platform to break down barriers for others in the deaf community.
The more we can build this identity, the more we can build the self-confidence, the more likely your student or child will be comfortable delivering this elevator pitch. And when they design this elevator pitch, there's no stopping what they can do, where they can go, or who they can communicate with, in what environments. All they need to do is be able to articulate who they are, why that person needs to know, and what that person needs to do to support them. And with that short snippet comes power. So make sure you check out the toolbox inside the Professional Academy, which has an entire lesson on building the elevator speech, but it also has panels, interviews, workshops, and an entire deaf identity curriculum that can help your child and student embrace this amazing aspect about them. It's a strength, it's not a weakness. Help your students understand this about themselves and give them the one tool that can make the difference for the rest of their lives.